Hi, everyone. If you're new to podcasting or interested in starting a new podcast, let me tell you a little bit about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So for the brand new podcaster, that is a plus. So check it out. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm. That's F as in Frank, M as in Mary, to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Dark. Tonight I'm going to do something a little bit off topic, a lot of it, but it's something that's really important to me. I've been dealing with something called mast cell syndrome, and I didn't really know what it was exactly for a while here. It's been since about 2011, 2010 this started. I had become allergic to cats out of the blue, and I grew up on a farm, and I have been around animals all my life. I've done work with animals, done rescue work, and I've just always been an absolute animal nut. I mean, I just adore animals. And so the one year we had decided to sell our house, and we had packed a lot of stuff up, ready to move. We wanted to go out to California again. We wanted to go back out there to live. And what happened was one of our kids got pregnant young, and another one had gotten in trouble with the law. Actually, two of them. They were like twins. And so we had some issues with the kids. So we couldn't leave. We had done all this stuff to leave, and turned out that when it was too late, we ended up having to stay, and this meant the loss of a house that we really loved, but we were willing to leave, if we were actually leaving the area. If we were staying in the area, then it was definitely the house I wanted to be in. And I think what happened was it really stressed me out, and it caused me to just, get really fatigued, and I felt really down. And then I went in to get some dental work done, and I had told the dentist I was going to see absolutely no mercury in my mouth. I said no, metal, amalgam, I can never pronounce them properly, but the fillings that they put in your mouth, I didn't want them. And I had read, there's a book by Hal Huggins called Uninformed Consent. And if you ever have a chance, please get the book and read it. It's really important. And then go find yourself a holistic dentist that does not believe in putting mercury in your mouth and knows how to actually, remove the mercury in a way that will prevent more toxicity, or like the vapors and such. It can really cause some issues. In fact, they believe that it's the link to multiple sclerosis. They believe that there's certain diseases that they don't understand why people are getting them, and they believe that the mercury from dental is what's causing it. And they had done a thing. I think this one dentist, I can't remember her name, was talking about, hang on, I'm going to shut this door. My son's playing video games, so I have to shut this door real quick. He gets a little loud. The one dentist that I had spoken to had said that, there's people that will get this mercury taken out of their mouth, and they come in there very sick. They come in wheelchairs and everything else, and they've got MS, and their symptoms improve to the point where they go from a wheelchair to playing, 3 rounds of tennis. So there could be a real link here. And I don't discount this stuff. This is something that, when you have real people telling you that this has worked for them and that they've gotten better, and, this is what's going on, and you've got a dentist this man was a pioneer in this field with this stuff, and there was a big lawsuit against the American Dental Association for the fact that, mercury is one of the most toxic out of anything in the world. For a human being, it's the most toxic thing you can have in your system or around. Even the vapors alone has killed people. And they're putting this stuff in your mouth, and then when you chew and you drink things like hot tea or hot coffee, that heats it up, and then the vapors are released. Or when you just eat hot food, or you're just the chewing in general, is going to heat it up, and it's going to cause it to release vapors that gets into your bloodstream and your brain and your spinal cord, and it just gets all through your system. So that's the problem with it. So, not to get into the whole spiel on this, but if you get a chance, read the book Uninformed Consent by Hal Huggins. Very good book. In fact, I started to go to the dentist that worked right under him, Dr. Blanche Gruby. She's actually in Scranton area in Pennsylvania. And she's a direct link to Hal Huggins, who's since passed away. He passed away he was elderly, and she kind of took over everything, but she teaches people, other dentists that are coming along, the proper removal of the mercury and just how to treat people with it. So it's a really good thing to know. So what happened was I'd gone to this dentist and I'd asked him not to put any mercury in my mouth. And I went home that day and my whole stomach had blown up with this red rash. And it was itchy. So basically I'd had some kind of an allergic reaction, and it was just all over my stomach. And I didn't really identify it that day as a true allergic reaction, because you always think of hives as like these red welts, like red blotches or spots on your body, and or itching, I guess, all over. But the way this was, just where it was located, it was just very odd to me. And I guess I just thought, I was trying to justify it and think maybe it was my pants that had like dug into my stomach, or something like that. But I knew deep down that this was an allergic reaction to whatever the dentist had done. And he was a really crappy dentist too. He didn't do x-rays. He just a really all around bad dentist. So after this had happened, I had gone home and I laid down, and within about 3 days, I had become so fatigued that I couldn't even get out of bed. Like, it was so bad that, I was terrified. I thought something was wrong with me. I didn't really connect it to the dental work right away. I just thought, I had gotten maybe sick or something had happened to me, and I didn't know what was going on. And it's basically what they would consider chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia. Like, it was something along those lines. And so, I'm sorry, I'm kind of pausing here with my thoughts. I'm a little tired tonight, and I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. This went on. This progressed on to maybe a year of it. I went into like a full year of this, and we had, moved out of the house, and, we ended up staying with my then fiance, whatever you want to call him, Matt. I've been with Matt for 25 years, and I don't really know what to call him because we're not officially married. And he gets mad if I don't say he's my husband, but technically we're not married. But there's common law, which they recognized before they stopped making common law. So if you're together before they stopped the common law, then you can say you can still be recognized. So that's how I kind of look at it. But I was always afraid of marriage. I don't know what it was. I just could never bring myself to do it. I just have this fear of it. I don't know if it's, my dad had been through several marriages, and I think I just had this innate fear of it. Actually, really what it was being with people that, you get disillusioned with them. Like, after you're with them for a year, you start seeing things in them that, I think you just stay, you keep hoping that they get better, or they just become better people, or, you work through things, or you're going to work through it, and it just doesn't ever come to pass. And I think that's really what happened with me, that I just, you get engaged, and, You think you're going to have a life together, and then as you go, things just start coming out, and you're just like, okay, I don't know about this. And that's pretty much what happened with me. So anyway, not to get off topic there, but I ended up being really sick. A year had gone by, I got really sick to the point where it was sick, like fatigue sick. It was such drastic fatigue that there would be days, I'd be in bed for 3 days, barely being able to eat or even get up to use the bathroom because I was so weak I could barely get out of bed. And I didn't know what was causing it. So I went to the doctors, doctor after doctor after doctor after specialist, and tests, and nobody could find anything. And suddenly one day my family doctor, who's a really good doctor, very thorough, and he never hesitates to test you for things. He's really good about that stuff. He doesn't do that thing where he's like, well, it's probably you're stressed, or he doesn't do that. He tests you. And I love that about him. He's just so thorough, but he's a real stickler about, you don't reschedule, you have to be there when you say you're going to be there. And it's really cool because like he gets you in within like 5 minutes. When you get in there, he takes you right in. I mean, he's just such a great doctor. So his name's Dr. Pinkney. He's in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I just love him. So he did this blood work, and he said, he called me and he said, look at this. And he showed me that my ferritin in my blood was at like a 6. And it's actually supposed to be, they say the guideline is 20 to like, I think it's like maybe 175. I'm going to guess that. And mine was 6. But if it's under 50, you can actually start having hair loss. So you should be basically 75 to like 150, I would say, would be the best range you could be at with ferritin. Mine was at a 6. And we didn't know why. So I had like, the colonoscopy and the upper GI done, looking for bleeding, heavy menstrual stuff going on. But that had always gone on. So we weren't really making that, like we couldn't connect it. We weren't sure what was going on there. And so he put me into infusions. I would go in and get infused with the chemotherapy patients. And we would sit in there and I would get these infusions for ferritin. And ferritin is the iron storage in your body. It's where it's your storage reserves. So basically, if you're bleeding and you lose blood and you have no storage of extra blood or iron in your body, you're kind of out of luck. And I had nothing. There was no storage whatsoever. So everything in my system was basically fresh, and it was like what I had was what I had, and that was it. And that can be very dangerous because it takes 30 days for your blood to even rebuild. It could take longer for some people. But so we did that, and I started to feel perkier. I started to feel a little bit better, but it wasn't totally, like it was still, there was still stuff going on, and like fatigue was still hitting me even though my ferritin was really good. And we were building it back up, and it's great now. It's actually right now I'm going through menopause, so it's not to get into all that stuff, the feminine side of this, but I'm doing that for the ladies listening. Sorry guys, I don't want to get into personal stuff, but it's important to know this stuff. Menopause can cause allergies and things like that to happen as well, but it can cause you to lose ferritin, and your hormones get crazy, and just all kinds of stuff happens. So, but the before the menopause is what I really think that's what caused my ferritin issues. I really do. Now looking back and knowing that my ferritin is coming up on its own, and I'm going through menopause, I'm starting to think, okay, maybe it was that. And I just wasn't doing too great. So years went by, year after year after year, and I just, was dealing with this. This went on for like 10 years. And during the course of this, I developed these really crazy allergies. I had, like I said, grew up on a farm, was always around animals, loved animals. I do now. And I was suddenly allergic to cats, I had a cat that I loved dearly, and I couldn't even be around him anymore. I had to give him to my mother-in-law. And I have a dog. I had a dog, Chasey. She was a little mini schnauzer, and she had died of cancer. And I waited about 3 years, maybe more, to think about getting another dog because I just couldn't imagine replacing her. And it wasn't that I was replacing her. I know it's kind of, you're more adding to your family and you're not replacing the ones you lost. But I still felt I wasn't ready. I mean, this baby died in my arms on September 11th at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and she was in her death throes. I had put her through 2 years of chemo. She gotten cancer, and I scooped her up in my arms and I took her outside because I didn't want her little spirit to be trapped in a house. That's how I felt. In case we left the house, I didn't want her to be in this house. So I thought, well, if there is anything to that, I want her outside where she's free. And it was a really crazy, the whole story was really crazy when I got home. Like there was a cloud that looked just like her, like she was up in heaven looking down at me, and this dog wanted to be with me wherever I went. She was my baby, and she passed away in my arms. It's still hard to talk about. I still get really teared up by this dog, that she was my baby. And it took me years to want to get another dog. So when I decided I wanted to get another one, I ended up finding out after I got allergy tested right before. Thank God I did. But they didn't tell me that the allergy tests can actually cause allergies. So really listen to this stuff, guys, because I went in to get allergy tested. I got the skin tests where they actually went in with a needle and injected a little bit. It was a more thorough skin test. Like some of them they'll just kind of press something into you, and they do testing like that. This was one where they did like, I don't know, it was like 50 different shots of everything you could imagine, and it was just under my skin with a little needle. And I ended up being allergic to like 35 things. The doctor told me that he has never seen anybody as allergic to as many things as I am. And he said, you're allergic to dogs. And I looked at him and I said, no, I'm not. I was around dogs, I was doing insurance adjusting, and I was going into homes with dogs, and I would pet them, and I was fine around dogs. And he said, well, your skin is saying that you're allergic to dogs more than you're actually even allergic to cats. And I was severely allergic to cats. And I left the office that day so allergic to dogs that I couldn't be around them at all. Like I couldn't even be within so many feet of dogs. And I was devastated. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And now I'm going to say something that's going to be upsetting to some people. For those people that, I'm going to say this, are abusing the system, and they are taking their dogs into stores with them to shop, I'm going to tell you this. There are people out there, more than you realize, that have very, very serious allergies to dog dander. It can kill me. If I get within so many feet of a dog, I can end up dead or in the hospital. And I was just reading an article the other day about a little boy that is so allergic to dogs, and his school is actually telling the parents that they're bringing a dog into the school as a, quote, service dog for emotional support because they just want to have it there, and this can kill this little boy. The last time he was exposed to a dog, he ended up in the hospital for days with EpiPen treatments. EpiPens can't save you all the time. My daughter had an aunt who died 9 times. She was a nurse, and she went into a home that had cats. She was highly allergic to cats, and she thought she would be, she could get through it because she always had before. And that particular day, her body just wasn't having it, and she went into the house and she couldn't breathe. She went into a full-blown asthma allergy attack, and she died 9 times on the way to the hospital. She finally was taken into the hospital, and she was in a coma, and she was on the machines to keep her alive, and they had to shut them off, and she died. At 52 years old, she was dead because of an allergy. This stuff is real for so many people. I was in the hospital one day talking to one of the nurses at the hospital who said it drives them nuts when people bring their pets into the hospital that they don't really need to bring in, because there's people that work there that have allergies to these animals, and everybody acts like it's a dog park now. They take them into restaurants. I was sitting in Dunkin' Donuts the other day, and a man got out of his car, and he reached in and pulled out his German Shepherd out of the back seat, and he took him into Dunkin' Donuts for, it was like 2 minutes. 2 minutes this man ran in there to get coffee and brought his Shepherd out, got him in the truck, put himself in the truck. I mean, this is a young guy, was perfectly healthy, was only running in for a moment, and he had to take the dog in there. Now, what if somebody's sitting in there that has an allergy to a dog? What if somebody's sitting there that has a life-threatening allergy to a dog? And he actually, he really didn't need to take the dog in with him to do what he did, but he did anyway. I was in Giant the other day shopping, and I rounded the corner, and there's 3 people, kids, walking their dog in Giant, thinking it's fun. Everybody's petting the, people were stopping in the store, petting the dog, and they're just in there just taking the dog in for fun. This wasn't a service dog. So I called the congressman the one day, and I said, we were discussing it about changing some laws. I said, there is absolutely no protection for people that could die from this allergy. And even if you own a store, like say I wanted to open up a store, and I have this allergy, if I don't let somebody in there that has a service dog, then I could be fined for that. That makes no sense. There's only rights for one group, but there's not rights for another. And there's got to be something that has to get done about this, because there's so many people I've talked to that are suffering from these allergies to, cats, dogs. I mean, Lowe's lets anybody and their mother walk in there with their dogs. And now you're taking the things in that store are going back to your house, and they've got dander all over them. And dander is, people don't realize this, dander is not the hair. Dander is the saliva, the urine, the body secretions that come out of the animal. It's actually 1 micron, which is smaller than any mask can filter out. Masks can only filter up to 3 microns, 3 or more, 3 or larger microns. They cannot filter out dog or cat dander. So you can put on 20 masks and you're still going to get hit with the dander reaction. And what happens is the saliva, they lick themselves, and then the saliva crystallizes on their body. It dries, and it turns into millions of tiny particles, almost like flakes of skin, and it gets airborne. So they said they did a study one time. They put a cat in a basement, and they said within 2 hours, with the heating on through the heating ducts or the central air, the dander was found all the way in the attic. That's how potent this stuff is. It's that potent. And I get hit with this immediately. It's like the second I am, the very second somebody walks up to near me with a dog, I am immediately hit with my allergy attack. Now, my allergy attack, I'm going to give you an idea of what it's like. It is not the scratchy eyes and the runny nose like everybody thinks of as allergy. You get that too at times. That's a mild allergy attack. Okay? My allergy attack is my brain swells. I get dizzy. My head feels like it's going to blow up. My face gets full. My neck gets so full it feels like somebody's got their hand wrapped around it. My chest gets crushing like I'm having a heart attack. My heart starts to palpitate, like jump really hard, skips beats and just thumps in my chest. Like you can just feel it almost like it's just flip-flopping all around in my chest. I get hives, itchy all over, like itchy as in like it feels like tiny bugs are biting me all over my body. And then it's like a prickly feeling. It also feels like there's worms crawling through my veins. This is what I deal with. I can't breathe. I cannot catch my breath. I am completely gasping for air like a fish out of water. It's like you have no oxygen. That's just part of it. Those are like the major parts of the allergy. It's an absolute nightmare for me. So everybody's just now, you have all these people that are dog owners that love their dogs, and I understand it. I had one. I know what it's like to have a dog that you love and you take everywhere, and it doesn't even occur to you that you could be harming somebody, and some people just don't care because they love their dog and they want their dog with them. I was one of those people. I never realized, like my mom would come over and tell me she had a cat allergy or a dust and a mold allergy, and I always thought she was nuts. I had people that would, not come to my house because they had a cat allergy. And I was like, it's just an allergy. Like, I never thought about it. It just didn't occur to me that it was that bad. It never occurred to me that it was life threatening to people, that people can die from this stuff. You think of people having allergies that they die from as in food. Like you think, people that are allergic to peanuts or latex even, or, seafood, things like that, that's the stuff people die from. That's not it, guys, that you can die from any allergy. Bee stings, that's another one. Allergy is allergy. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters how your body reacts to it. And everybody's body is different. And you hear a lot of people say, well, why don't you just take some medicine or, get some shots? It's not my problem, that you have an allergy. I don't have an allergy, so why shouldn't I be allowed to take my dog in where I want to take it? You can. I mean, that's that if that's your attitude, nobody's stopping you, obviously. People should be stopping you, because you really shouldn't be taking dogs into a grocery store or a restaurant where people, they're eating food. I mean, you don't know when you're seeing somebody's dog if that dog's clean, if it has worms, if it has fleas or ticks, or if it smells, or sheds, or, I mean, you don't know how people take care of their dogs. And now you've got them coming into places where there's food and they're getting all that dander and hair all over. It's getting airborne and it's getting into everything. And that alone is enough to, if you have any kind of a germaphobe side to you, where something like that would gross you out, that would be one aspect of it. But for me, it's allergy. It's, if it wasn't for my allergy, I wouldn't have a problem with the dogs going into stores and stuff. But I'm just looking at it from that standpoint as well. But the allergy thing, you really have to suffer through it. And I was 42 years old when I got allergic, and you can become allergic at any point in your life. And sometimes I think this stuff happens so there's advocates out there that will actually fight for other people to help them, because nobody understands unless they're going through it or they've been affected by it in some way. That's so typical. You see, a lot of actors and actresses or famous people that will set up funds because their brother had something, or their child, had cancer, or, somebody they loved had MS, or, and then they'll set up funds for people. But unless that really happens to you or affects you in any way, you're just kind of oblivious to it. And I think this stuff happens for a reason, and maybe that's, why I was, I got landed with this. I don't know. But the thing that really upset me was that I've stopped traffic to help an opossum that got hit. and I've pulled a deer off the road into my van to take to the wildlife preserve. And I found baby deers, and I've, saved mice, like baby mice where I dropper fed them. Like, I am an animal lover through and through. I absolutely adore animals. I would have saved any animal. I've saved birds and squirrels and rabbits and taken in every cat that ever showed up at my house. And it's just ridiculous. And I can't believe this happened to me of all people, as much of an animal lover as I always was. I had a goldfish that lived for 10 years. I nurture them and love them. I always have. So I felt very unfair that this happened to me, but it did. So for those of you that are, taking your dogs into stores to go shopping, and it's really not a service dog. And believe it or not, when I spoke with a congressman, he told me emotional support is not technically a service dog. He said that was slid through for people that just kind of wanted to have their animals with them. And it's, there are people that have autism or, other situations where, yeah, the animal makes them feel better, but he said it's actually not a requirement that they have it to go shopping like a person that's blind. So there's actually very few true service dogs, compared to all the ones that are being put through as emotional support. But aside from all that, please just consider this. Before you take your dogs into stores, please consider that when you walk in that store with that dog, there could be somebody in there. It could be a child that has an anaphylactic allergy to that animal. And I would just be really, aware of that and be as considerate as you can with people, you guys. It's really important, and it's a much bigger problem than you realize it is. So aside from that, and I know this can be touchy for people that have animals and they like to take their dogs in. I understand that. I know people get very defensive when it comes to being told, not to do something with their animal, that, they get, because it's like your family. You feel like it's like your child. And, I looked at Chase like that. She was my baby. So I understand that part. But now, living on the flip side of this allergy thing, I now understand, the other side, and it's not fun at all. And it's very scary. I'm trying to raise my last child, who's 16, get him raised. I'm very actively involved with my grandchildren, and the kids still need me, and I need to stick around. Tonight, I ended up after the allergy situation with going in and getting tested, and then, leaving and becoming severely allergic to dogs and cats and all kinds of other things that day, which they did not tell me that an allergy test could do that. So if you are going to get allergy tested, you need to be really careful. I would not let them do the skin test. Get the blood test done. And they're not always accurate, but it's a lot safer for you to get the blood test done, or maybe have them do just one or, a few allergy tests at a time. I would not let them overload you like they did me. And it triggered something in me. So last year I became highly allergic to cardboard, and I didn't even know that even was possible. I've gotten allergic to food like coffee, things like that. Now I have heard that menopause can cause this. People have gotten allergies because of menopause, and then when the menopause was over, they can go away. That has happened with some women because of their hormones and stuff. I don't know if that's what's going on, but I started to do some more research on this after I then became allergic to cardboard, and now I'm becoming more allergic to paper. Tonight I had a really bad reaction to pizza, because pizza comes in a cardboard box, and I even had them line the pizza with wax paper, and that didn't work anymore. That was working at first. Now I had a terrible reaction to it tonight. Very big allergic reaction to the pizza. I don't think it's the pizza. I think it's the cardboard box. So I am now left with having to possibly buy a pizza oven and make my own pizzas, apparently. And I'm fine with that. I've actually been wanting to buy a slushy machine, so that'll just go hand in hand with each other. Sorry, my nose is getting a little clogged up here as I'm talking. I'm still fighting this allergy attack today. So, here, hang on a second. I just have to get a quick drink. Hang on. Okay. So where was I? So I had this allergy attack today, and I couldn't believe I became this allergic to cardboard. It's just devastating. I run a business where I have to handle boxes, and that's what actually started this. I work around cardboard in my business because I get orders that come in, frozen items and stuff, and the cardboard that it comes in, I started noticing last year I would get like a red streak up my arm, like little lines and such, and then they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, crisscrossing, and then my whole stomach blew up, and this was like, it was getting worse and worse. And I realized one day, I finally put two and two together and realized it was the cardboard, because it was the only thing that I had touched that could cause it. And it's just gotten worse and worse. And now it's to the point where the one week my guy came to deliver the order, and he lifted up his tailgate of his truck, and I completely blew up just standing by the truck outside I could just being in the vicinity of the cardboard. So I did some research, and I found out that what it looks like I might have is called mast cell syndrome, or mast cell disease or disorder. My regular allergist tested me for it, and it came back negative. So I thought, okay, it didn't make sense to me that it came back negative, because I'm becoming allergic to everything. I'm reacting even throughout the day to things that I don't even know what it is, where my neck's getting tight and I'm breaking out itching, and I'm having like my hands get broken out with hives, and there's all this stuff going on. And so I went to him, and he tried to get me to take different medications, and none of that's working. And he's basically telling me, well, you have to avoid it. I'm like, okay, you tell me how you avoid cardboard. Everything we eat practically comes in cardboard of some kind. I mean, even I went and got bell peppers the one day, and it was lined with cardboard. Now, you can pick things out, like if you just eat fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, meat, stuff like that, you could do that, but there's always something that you get, like pasta comes in cardboard. I mean, I could name a million things that come in cardboard. Your mail, like paper. I'm becoming allergic to paper as well. I opened up a book to teach my son something. It was a book. It was like a notebook type thing. I blew up, just completely blew up with an allergic reaction. All the packages you get in the mail, everything's cardboard. Things you eat, things you drink. I went and ordered a value meal one day, and the drink they gave me was the cardboard cup. The fries come in cardboard. I mean, the stuff comes in bags. This is a nightmare. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. So the allergist is telling me to stay away from, just avoid it. I'm like, that's like telling somebody to avoid air. Okay, this it's everywhere. It's in everything. And there's certain cardboards that I'm much more sensitive to. Supposedly it's something called PTBP. It's like some kind of formaldehyde that they believe, I don't know who they is, but they believe that you're allergic to this formaldehyde solution that is on the cardboard, that it's treated with. Or it could be the trees, it could be, it could be any number of things. But this PTBP stuff is in cosmetics, it's in dentistry, it's in food, it's in medicines, it's in everything. Not everything, but it's found in even in leather, like, carpeting. It's just unbelievable. So I got really, just kept getting worse and worse. And it's getting to the point where I was like, my God, I'm going to die from this. So I was starting to look up some stories of people. There was this guy that had environmental illness, which is similar to this, where he was, just triggered because somebody had done some painting and stuff in his building, triggered his basically mast cells in his body, and he became sick from everything. Had to go out to Arizona to live in the desert. Another woman was allergic to her entire family and everything else, and she would visit with them once a month, and she would get really sick after they left. Another woman is quarantined in one room in her home. It's air pressured, like, it's sealed off. The door's sealed. Her husband takes care of her. She's around her husband 15 minutes. She goes into anaphylactic shock. She has to eat just certain items, and even they make her sick. And she's basically allergic to everything. She's like the boy in the plastic bubble. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. This is happening all over. The one little boy that was allergic, that's highly allergic to dogs. There's many people with the dog situation because I've talked to them. People that work in stores that complained to me when we talked about it, and they were just like, they hate it when people bring dogs in. They absolutely despise it. They said they've had to clean up messes. They've had them they just don't like it. And then there's other people that are working in stores and they're trapped there, and all day long people are bringing in the supposed service dog, and these people are stuck working in these buildings and they can't get out, and they're having horrible allergy attacks, and there's other customers in there, that the stuff it's real and it's happening, and it's getting worse and worse. The statistics on allergies is just climbing drastically because they believe it's, the pollution and all the chemicals and stuff we're being exposed to. But what happened with me, I believe, when I went back into my memory banks and I was talking to the specialist, who I'm going to let you hear. I have the conversation here for you, and I want you to listen to this. The beginning of the conversation got cut off. So it starts out with, it was just in the very beginning part, but I had, the initial thing, I had to edit it out because it was all garbled. So you'll hear the majority of the conversation explaining, kind of what this is. But I believe that what happened with me was the dental. He was saying that most of the people, that what's happening is that their body is creating this thing called mast cell syndrome, where the mast cells are what are responsible for releasing histamines that are causing you to have allergy attacks. And with mast cells, they go in mass. It's like everything is going haywire. Like basically everything, you come in contact with, you're reacting to some degree, not everything, but a lot of things, or you're developing all kinds of new allergies, or, it goes into other stuff like pain throughout your muscles and things that almost mimic fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, or, even diabetes, or, there's just all this stuff like arthritis, things that are happening to people that they don't know what's going on with their body. They don't understand it, and it's a mast cell trigger. And that he believes it's exposure to a toxin. And with me, I believe it was the mercury that this dentist put in my mouth. He said, I told him, I didn't finish this. I told him that day not to put mercury in my mouth. And when I went to Dr. Gruby, she did a mercury vapor reading, and that tooth that had white filling in it had mercury. She said it was the highest mercury reading in my mouth. And this was supposed to be a tooth that he promised me had no mercury in it. So he did put mercury in my mouth, and I reacted. There's the toxin. Also, the doctor here will talk about mold, the black mold that grows in houses, and also Lyme's disease are two of the top triggers that cause the mast cell reactions. So that's where I'm at with this. And I really wanted to share this with you guys. I know that this is, I basically talk about cryptids and governmental stuff, but, and Christianity. But I guess my channel is it's an all around anything that I can share with you, I'm going to share. So I felt this was important. I felt I needed to get the message out about the dogs because I feel like I really want, if I can reach anybody with that to really stop and think that they could be harming somebody, then it's worth it to me. If people can actually care if it matters to them. And just to share, if somebody else is going through major allergies or problems with their body, like having major pain all through their muscles or fatigue or things like that, you've got to start looking into some of this stuff. The mast cell parasites, even, people can be, polluted with parasites in their body and not even know it. That can trigger mast cells. Just so many different things. So I'm gonna let you listen to this conversation with this doctor I had, and hopefully you get something from this. I'd really love to hear your comments and input on this. Please be respectful. Don't get mean about anything. Just be respectful. And but let me know if you're having any issues with this, or anything you've been through, anything you found works for you. He said to start out, while I was waiting to be seen by these people, with taking 1,000 milligrams of quercetin. It's Quercitin, I believe. It's the supplement quercetin. It sounds like it's quercetin, but it's quercetin. 1,000 milligrams for 5 days, then 500 milligrams from then on, with 1 Pepcid and 1 Claritin a day. I have found that when I take that, my hands no longer itch. When I stop taking it, my hands itch. So, and it's not, it's like things I touch, I'm having allergy attacks to. It's not eczema. It's actually like allergic reaction stuff. So, try that especially. And then there's some mast cell inhibitors too that they can put you on. But listen to this, guys. And, like I said, give me some comments and let me know your thoughts or anything that you've been through. I'd love to hear your stories. Okay, here we go.
That cycle with, like things like mold exposure or what we call chronic inflammatory response syndrome right now. We get patients every single day that conventional medicine is in total denial. They're telling them that there's no such thing as mold illness, that mold cannot make you sick. Yet there are 169 studies by 8 different government agencies that all say that here's what we've observed from our studies of toxic mold. So everybody from the EPA to HUD, Housing Urban Development, you name it, all these agencies, HHS, all these agencies have done all these studies. There's 169 of them published, well published. And yet, conventional doctors will tell you that mold does not make people sick. And I'm like, where are they coming from?
Yeah.
So, but again, it'll come around. And by the time we're another 15 years down the road, it'll be accepted that mold does cause people to get sick. And then it'll get published. And then the conventional doctors will know about it. Right now, if you have mold illness, you have to come to us. And so, and it's unfortunate because you got to pay out of pocket for us as opposed to paying in your insurance. So we're not in the network.
Yeah.
Because if we were in the network, we couldn't do what we do. And so, and then, we get, and it's okay for the people that are, that can afford it. It's fine.
I know.
The ones I feel sorry for are the ones that can't afford it. So
I know.
we get Medicaid patients calling us, and they can't afford our treatment, but yet they're in a moldy house. And we've been trying for 3 years to get grants or something to be able to help people that can't pay. But we just haven't found a grant program that will work for us that we have the infrastructure to manage. I mean, some of them, I literally need 5 more people just to run the grant program. Okay?
I know. I can imagine.
So, because of the bureaucracy and paperwork. So, we haven't found a grant program yet that we can manage. And so as a result, when Medicaid people call us, they're kind of stuck. Their conventional doctors tell them that they're crazy, and put them on antidepressants, and yet they will tell us they're in a moldy building and they have all the symptoms, and we know they're and so, but they really don't have any options because they can't afford to spend. I mean, mold treatment with everything ends up costing $6,000 or $7,000 for a year between our fees and the medications and the supplements. And, the people that can't afford that, at least the people that can't afford it, they can't afford it, and therefore they get well and they can go on about life.
Mm-hmm.
People that can't afford it are kind of stuck, and, it sucks. I hate it personally, but, what can we do?
What now? Mold,
around,
you mentioned mold. Everybody gets a little bit of like black mold that grows in their bathroom, that you have to wash away, that type of stuff. Is that something that could be,
Well, like I said earlier, mold is typically the number one trigger for a mast cell. Now, the mold that's in your bathroom, assuming that here's the problem. You got to remember, there's mold we can see and mold we can't see. So the stuff that you can see, that's usually more like mildew. It probably hasn't turned into mold yet. The stuff that's frequently getting washed off and that you're scrubbing down, that's not the problem. Now, where the problem comes in the bathroom is, let's say you get some hairline cracks in your mortar joints between the tile. Do you have a solid surround like fiberglass, or is it like ceramic tile?
No, it's the ceramic tile. Yeah.
Okay. So with ceramic tile, you got those joints in there that are mortar joints. Now, if those mortar joints get little holes in them and allow the water to get back in behind, then that will cause mold. And so people have taken the tile off only to find the whole wall is just full of black mold. The stuff that's on the wall itself, as long as you keep washing it off, it never really establishes. That's not really the problem. That's really more like mildew. That's really not mold yet. It will turn into mold if it's allowed to persist without being cleaned up. But the problem is that a lot of times ceramic tile showers allow water, and you can't always tell that it's doing that, but it allows water to get behind the tiles. Yeah. And then that's when when people go pull the tile off the walls and the whole wall is black mold.
Oh my God.
So that's a problem area. Another problem area is roof leaks. A lot of people will have a minor roof leak that will leak into the attic, and mold will grow up there, and you can't see it because it's up above the drywall, but it still comes down and gets into the air, into the circulating air. The other place is leaky basements, especially basements between the wall and the foundation, or around other areas that, again, have same concept. If you've got a block basement wall, block walls tend to, again, let some moisture through the grout lines, through the mortar joints. And so you can end up with a wet, basement. And so people will say, oh, well, yeah, my basement's wet because, we have to run a dehumidifier. Well, if you're running a dehumidifier down there and it's pulling out a decent amount of water, chances are you have mold, because where there's moisture, there's mold. So, I know one person, she said, well, I have 3 dehumidifiers in my basement. I said, well, how much water are you taking out? She said, I don't know. I just empty them. So one day I told her, I said, look, get a big 5-gallon bucket, and as you empty each dehumidifier, put it into the 5-gallon bucket. I'll be darned if she wasn't taking out between 2 and 3 gallons of water a day out of these dehumidifiers. I said, you have a horrible problem. There's no way you're taking out 2 or 3. It shouldn't even be a gallon in a week.
Oh,
let alone 2 or 3 gallons per day. Gallons? I mean, that's a lot. That's more than just like a little bit of moisture. That's some actual water intrusion. And sure enough, she did. She had water intrusion in several places in her basement. And so this dehumidifier was helping, but it obviously was just masking the problem. But what
about weight and stress? Like if people need to lose some weight or stress, things like that, can that cause?
Weight does not normally trigger mast cell.
Okay.
Stress can trigger about anything. It's possible, not probable.
Okay.
It normally takes some sort of toxic exposure that dysregulates your immune system.
I gotcha.
In order to create mast cell. Okay.
Well.
So we just need to test you. I mean, the bottom line is.
Okay.
We would test you for mold. We would test you for Lyme. Have you ever been, to your knowledge, bitten by a tick?
Not that I know of, except when I was a kid. I know when I grew up on a farm, and there was a couple times I found a tick on me. So, yeah, I probably was when I was a kid.
So that can still follow you. So here's what happens, right? What happens a lot of times is that you had an early tick bite, it wasn't treated, and you didn't get sick from it right away. But over time, what happens is that stuff stays in your body, and it waits for the opportune time when your body is not as strong as it was. And then it says, hey, now's our time. And then now it kind of multiplies it. So you can definitely have a tick bite from early years that doesn't manifest really until an adult. That happens all the time.
Okay.
So you definitely, I mean, given what you have with the mast cell presentation, you need to definitely, since the number 1 and 2 triggers are Lyme and mold, you need to be tested for both of those for sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
I have a sneaking feeling it could be the mold. I'm thinking might be it.
That's the number 1. Probably 60% of the cases that we have a mast cell had the underlying trigger being mold.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you read another doctor that publishes a lot on this topic, she's highly regarded. In fact, Dr. Lawson has done some training with her. Is Jill Carnahan. And if you just go search on Jill Carnahan mast cell and mold or something like that, you'll find blogs that she's written about mast cell and mold and how they come in pairs. I mean, so you probably have, and it could be in your bathroom. Again, it could be in a bathroom where like how old is the tile in the bathroom to your knowledge?
It's. I mean, I don't know. We've lived here for probably 9 years now, but we had like a leaky area in the kitchen for a while. Yeah, there was stuff that was going on that just normal things that you think you're dealing with, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
but see what happens is those leaks that leak under the sink. What happens is there's typically penetrations through the bottom floor for pipes, and so that leaves a little crevices for water to go and get underneath that floor. And so a lot of times when people pull that kitchen vanity out, underneath there's black mold.
God,
because moisture, little bits of water has gotten down through there from time to time, and again, nobody thinks anything about it until they're sick. But when that vanity gets pulled out, invariably, then you find there's mold up there. So, that's another area that's very common for mold. And sometimes we found people that just have a broken pipe somewhere, and it's not like broken enough that it's a problem, but there's been discoveries. Like one of the last houses, we had a mold inspector go in for a person. He found that they had a leaking. One of their toilet pipes was simply. It wasn't a huge leak, but it was enough of a leak in between. And it was because the pipe is behind the wall, and if the water doesn't come up until it touch the wall, if it kind of stays in between, and the mold grows in between, you never realize it. But he put his moisture meter on that wall, and he said, you got something bad going on this wall, because a moisture meter can read moisture through the drywall. So and he had taken several readings, and let's just say that the moisture number was 2, and then he got to this one area and the moisture level was 20, and it's like, okay, you got a problem behind this wall.
Yeah.
And so he asked him if they minded, and so they let him cut the wall right there, and sure enough, the pipe was leaking. Yeah, the pipe had been leaking probably for years. So, and they had just a crap load of black mold back there. So
that's amazing. What about houseplants?
Houseplants, the kind of mold that houseplants harbor are outdoor species of mold that generally aren't very dangerous. Now, obviously, if the plant gets totally full of mold, then that's a problem. But I mean, a small amount of outdoor molds from a plant is not a problem.
Okay,
I mean,
I got you.
Nobody has a house that's devoid of mold entirely. So the only question is do you have too much? Now, what determines too much is different by person. So what we have is a situation with mold where 76% of the population are not genetically susceptible to mold. So therefore, they can be in a moldy building and not get sick. So that's why we see cases where the husband is sick or the wife is sick and the other spouse is not sick, even though they've been living in the same house. But 24% of the population have a genetic susceptibility to mold. It makes them very likely to develop mold illness from a mold exposure, whereas the other 76% can be exposed and never get sick. Okay. So if you got sick, chances are you have that HLA defective gene, and that drives why you got sick from the mold and perhaps somebody else didn't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we can't reverse the mast cell once it starts, can you?
We can. We reverse the mast cell by stopping the trigger to the mast cell, and we treat the mast cell in the interim with what I said earlier. We treat it with cormalin, catatofen, quercetin, H1, and an H2. So like H1 is like a Claritin, and H2 is like a Pepsid. That combination it will tame the mast cell so that you can live a life while we get rid of what's triggering the mast cell, which let's say it's the mold or the Lyme or both. Okay. And then that stops. Once the mast cell is no longer triggering, then you won't have mast cell anymore. So it does go away.
So what are the things that you treat it with? What is it called? It's Pepsid, Claritin, and quercetin. I picked that up. What's the other stuff?
The other ones are prescriptions you have to have a doctor prescribe. It's called cromolyn, which is cromolyn is a mast cell stabilizer.
Okay.
And ketotifen is also a mast cell stabilizer.
Okay, so there's something that actually triggers just the mast cell then. Okay. Or, treats the mast cell. That's neat that they can do that.
There's something that treats the mast cell while we're working on the underlying cause.
Yeah, okay. Because
you got to live life.
I'll tell you, I run a business, and what happened was I became allergic to cardboard out of the blue. Okay, and you don't understand. Like, this started out with just like red lines that were itchy, and it took me a little time to figure out what was doing it. I didn't know if it was the plastic or the cardboard. So then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Now, if I'm even around cardboard, I just completely blow up. And I'm talking almost like anaphylaxis, and now I'm becoming allergic to paper.
Right.
And I can't, how in the world are you going to escape cardboard and paper? Our food is wrapped in this stuff.
No, I know. So, that's why we have to treat it. We have to treat it aggressively. When it's as severe as yours, you have to treat it aggressively. Like, some people might only need, say, 2 to 3 of those things if their mast cell case is light, but when their mast cell case is heavy like yours is, we throw all 5 of them. We'll throw all 5 of them at the same time, and that'll knock it down.
I need help. I'm scared. I'm scared. I really am.
No, I hear you. So, basically the way it works with us, like I think I mentioned earlier, we don't directly take any insurance. We do give you claim forms so that you can submit our expenses to your insurance company as out of network, okay? And if you've got out-of-network coverage, you should do pretty good. Most people that have out-of-network coverage get back about 50% of what they spend with us.
Okay.
The initial visit for this kind of a process is $975.
Okay.
And that's a 2-hour visit that happens after all your labs are back. Now, the mold labs are covered by insurance. They're blood-based and they're covered by insurance.
Okay.
The Lyme labs will need what's called a tick-borne illness test, and that test is $625.
Okay.
So what you need to get started is basically $1,600 for the visit and for the test.
Okay.
Then what happens is you enroll to become a patient. We send you the lab test order for the blood-based labs. For the Lyme test, it's a special panel collection that either, if you're close to the office, you come to the office and we do it. If you're not close to the office, we send you the kit, and then we either help you find a mobile phlebotomist or somebody else to come and draw it. Sometimes there's these places called Lab Anywhere. If you're close to one of those, you can go to one of those. So we'll find a way, one way or the other. We always do. We find a way to get the other panel drawn. If you're not close to the office, if you're close to the office, you can just pop by the office, and it takes like 15 minutes, and you're out of there.
Okay.
So
now the Lymes, I've been tested by like family doctor and stuff for Lymes, but is that, I take it that's not the right type of test either?
No, it's not.
Okay.
The test for Lyme from Quest and LabCorp have a 30% false negative rate.
No.
They're not specific or sensitive enough. So there's going to be a lot of people that have Lyme that are going to be negative for Lyme on those tests. We've seen it time and time again. They're just not sensitive enough. If you read some of the literature on the tests that are good tests, the one that we use is Vibrant Wellness. That's a good test. Another one is IGeneX. That's a good test. IGeneX is more expensive, so because of that, we normally use the Vibrant Wellness test. But they're both, those are the 2 state-of-the-art tests out there for Lyme, is either the Vibrant Wellness tick-borne illness panel or the IGeneX test panel. Okay.
I gotcha. Well, this is giving me a lot of hope, and I really, I was just looking every day thinking I'm going to die, like this is going to be, I'm just walking around breaking out in hives left and right, and I've got a son to raise, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared. So while you're waiting, like I said, I know it's always tough when you're in that wait stage, but, go ahead and get yourself enrolled, but while you're waiting, pick up some quercetin. Take 1,000 milligrams a day, okay? 1,000 milligrams a day. Pick up quercetin, Claritin, and like a Pepsid AC, one of those, that's an H2 blocker. Okay. So, and just take all 3 of those concurrently. We can't obviously give you the prescriptions until you come forward to the practice. I know, it's okay. You can get the quercetin right away. You can get that off Amazon. If you don't know how to spell it, it's Quercetin. Okay. And you want to get one that's at least like 500 milligrams tablets, so you're not taking a whole bunch. 1,000 milligrams a day for, like I said, the first 5 days, and then you can back it down to 500 after that. Okay, and then how much Pepsid and how much Claritin?
The Pepcid is just like whatever it says on the bottle on those two. The Claritin
Okay.
is just one a day. It's just 1 10 milligram tablet a day. The Pepcid, I don't know the exact dose, but it's whatever's on the package. It's the package dose for those two.
Now the Claritin, there's like Zyrtec stronger and there's Allegra that's stronger. Is that something I should take those instead, or do you recommend Claritin?
We recommend Claritin. It's an old-fashioned pure H1 blocker.
Okay.
I would stick with the Claritin.
Gotcha. Could I take more than one?
No.
Okay, because my doctor
Just
told
one.
me, my one doctor that I was seeing said that he wanted me to be taking 4 Claritin a day, and then he said to switch up to Zyrtec, which completely lays me out flat with exhaustion, and then he wanted me to switch to Allegra.
That's why we don't recommend taking more dose, because it makes you tired.
Yeah.
The more kind of helps, but at the same time, with a lot of people, they get severe fatigue when they take a lot of antihistamine. So
Yeah.
that's why we found that this concoction of giving you multiple things rather than telling you to take a whole lot of one is a better approach.
Okay.
So I would stick with the 1 Claritin a day, and for right now until you get under a diet. Now the doctor may tell you to do something different, but conservatively, with over the phone consultation, since these are nutraceuticals and they're not prescriptions, I'm comfortable with having you take 1 Claritin, the 5,000 milligrams of quercetin, and the Pepcid dose that's on the bottle. That's comfortable from a perspective. Now, once you've met with the doctor may very well tell you to take 2 Claritins, okay? But that would come from a doctor at that point.
I understand. Yeah. I was just, my allergist was telling me, all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm just letting you know what he said so you guys knew what, to kind of base on.
And like I said, but again, because we're using the Ketotifen and the Promolan once you come to us, we don't need you taking more Claritin, because that's not the most effective treatment. The most effective treatment is actually because see, here's the difference. Claritin is only trying to slow down the effect of the histamine after it's been created. Okay. Promolan and Ketotifen are trying to stop the creation of the histamine in the first place.
Okay.
So it's a whole different mechanism of action. So, where Claritin is trying to calm down the histamine effect after the fact, we're trying to stop the histamine in the first place. Let's just stop. Why do we want to create it? And the other thing you want to do while you're waiting is go on a low histamine diet, and I can send you the recommendation for what you need to eliminate to be on a low histamine diet. You don't want to be eating foods that are high in histamine, because then now you're just exaggerating the problem. Because histamine is the problem.
Okay.
So we want to calm down the histamine. So again, that's something you won't get that from a conventional doctor. They don't believe in using that diet has any impact, but we've seen it time and time again.
I believe that. I've been trying to do all kinds of
There's no reason, like I said, there's no reason to keep eating high histamine foods when you already have a histamine problem. So we need to eliminate the high histamine foods. I'll send you our low histamine diet recommendations.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. I would definitely, I'll follow it.
So meanwhile, the email I have is T as in Tom, R as in Romeo, bus 78 at AOL.com.
Yep, that's it. Right? Okay. Yep.
So I'm going to send you the intake form. I'm going to send you the intake form email here. Let's see here.
This really makes me feel like a little bit relieved. Like it's a lot relieved. I really thought I was done for. I didn't think there was any help.
No, there's help. It's not a problem.
Thank God.
We treat this every day, literally. So, literally, this is not something that's...
do you guys do any DNA testing or genetic testing along with this?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. Absolutely. We do a lot of genetic testing. So
I would kind of like to get that done too, because I was looking for somebody to do that, to get into maybe.
So we use, I think it's the best provider out there. We use GX Sciences. So we don't use, like 23andMe and all those guys, because for one, once again, if you look at the literature, their accuracy rate is pretty low.
Okay.
And that's why they run. And the other thing is they run hundreds of genes, and there's only about say 50. They run thousands of genes, and there's only a couple hundred that actually affect human health.
Okay.
And so the program that we use focuses on those genes in certain areas, and so you can get a really, really complete panel for about $360. We'll give you not everything, but that's a quite complete panel. It's a great place to start from and see if there's any areas that we need to go any deeper in.
Yeah.
But that and we can do that, and that's just a cheek swab. So basically, once you Once you finish your registration process, we'll charge you and send you out the kit. You swab your cheek and then send that on off to the lab, and then we'll have all those results at the same time.
Okay, and then one other thing too, as far as the medications that stop the mast cell, how expensive are they?
Those are covered by insurance typically.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Both Cetalofen and Cromolyn those are both typically, again, not always, but usually they're covered by insurance. And if they're not expensive. They're not expensive medications. I mean,
good. Okay.
Neither one of those are expensive if it happens to not be covered by
yeah,
insurance.
that's okay. I just didn't know if it was gonna be something in the thousands or because my EpiPen is like $800 or maybe more now. So okay.
Nope. So you don't have that to worry about. So
okay.
Let me just look here. Like Cetalofen, even if it's not covered by your insurance, let's see. Cetalofen. Oh no, not the eye drops. Let me get the other form.
Is this something you have to go on for the rest of your life?
No, this is only temporary while you're dealing with the mast cell.
Okay.
So typically you're only on it for a very short period of time.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think actually Cetalofen now it looks like is only available as a compound, but it's not expensive. I don't remember anybody paying any more than $80 or $100 for it or something like that. So it's not expensive. And Cromolyn is not expensive either. That one is at the retail pharmacies.
Okay.
But that one is not, because see, they've been out long enough that there's generic. So
yeah, okay, that sounds good.
There's that drives the prices down. The only time drugs are really, really super expensive typically is when they're like Cromolyn, for example. Let's see if you don't want that.
Yeah, some of the prescriptions are shocking. Like there's like, wow, you can't even believe some of the prices.
Oh no, I would. Yeah, like Cromolyn, even if you had to get it on, it's not coming up. But again, it's not expensive. So
okay.
So don't worry about either one of those as far as pricing.
Okay, yeah, I won't. As long as they're not in the thousands or anything, I'm okay.
No.
Okay.
So nope. So, but those like I said, those really, but those two actually like stop the histamine production as opposed to trying to tame the histamine after it's already been produced. So
yeah, okay.
That's why we don't need you to have 4 Allegras or 4 because we're cutting down on the production, and plus we're having you on the low histamine diet, which is also cutting down on the production of histamine as well.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
So Tracy, I've sent you the email. If you don't see it, check your spam folder because it does go in there sometime. But otherwise, you're all set. Just go ahead and fill that out, and we'll go from there.
And am I going to come into the office, or is it something you do like online?
We do both.
Okay.
I mean, you can do a video appointment. Generally, since it's a 2-hour appointment, most people prefer to come in. I don't know how far away you are. But,
it's just a couple hours away. It's not far.
So it's up to you. For that initial visit, the preference is that you would come in.
Okay.
Just like I said, it's a richer visit to come in. It's a 2-hour, it's a long visit.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to, we don't have any technology in the way, that kind of thing. So we prefer, we can do it remotely, but our preference is to do the initial visit in person.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I just didn't know how you guys.
And then after that, the follow-ups can all be done by video or phone. So we don't need you to come in for the follow-ups, but at least for the initial visit, you do need to come in.
Okay, this sounds great. I'm so glad I got a hold of you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, well, fantastic. We're happy to be here to help you, and look forward to helping you along the journey. And
I am too.
Well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, hon. Take care.
Thanks,
Have a good night. Bye-bye. All right, you guys. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of this. If for anybody suffering from severe allergies or any other unexplained medical thing, get a hold of me if you want to talk. Seriously, if there's anything that you want to ask me or want to talk about, I'm just getting more and more knowledgeable about stuff as I go because of the journey that I've had with this. I have not really been doing much of this podcasting stuff lately. I've been really, really busy with my business and the kids. I've been just swamped with the kids. Like I've been taking care of a lot of grandkids and getting involved with them very actively. And I just really wanted to do the podcast where I thought, I'm not going to stress myself out with this. I'm going to do this when I have something to say. I'm not going to make stuff up or, force myself to do podcasts because, I have to put so many out every week, or I don't want to do it like that. I want to, talk to you when I have something to say or have an interview or, learn something or there's something going on where I want to share with you. And so I've kind of taken a little bit of the pressure off of myself because I was finding that it was becoming more of a job, as in it was getting stressful, and I don't want it to be stressful. I want to enjoy this and I want to connect with you guys, like I said, when I have something to say or something to share with you. So if you don't hear from me for, some weeks here and there, I definitely will at least try to be on. I mean, I'd like to try to, do this like at least every other week or something. But like I said, I don't want to make any promises because I want to do this. I mean, there might be times when I put, 3 podcasts out in a week, and then, it might go for 2 or 3 weeks without putting something out. So, but I will always put something out at some point, hopefully at least once a month. So, just hang in there and, watch for me and enjoy the stuff that I put out. Hopefully you enjoy it. And, just keep watching David Paulides. That's super important. I can't say enough about that, guys. You really got to stick with David too. Like, I really want you to listen to my podcast, but it's real important that if you can, get on that and follow him and listen. Don't miss any of his episodes. He does one where he does the factual news, and he's a conservative. So if you're more a liberal or Democrat, you might not like that as much. But it's still something you should listen to because David he was an ex-police officer, and he's a private investigator, and he deals a lot in fact. He doesn't deal with opinion. It's more on the facts that he gathers, and he does investigate and gather real honest to God information. It isn't like he's, just making stuff up or voicing opinions. He's actually only giving you the facts about things. So whether you like it or not, the facts are the facts, and that's what I like about him. So it really doesn't have anything to do with really what political party you're with. It's just the facts are the facts. And I'm just warning you that, he is more conservative for anybody that isn't conservative. And then basically it's like every other day he does the factual news, and then every other day from that he does a missing persons count on, like usually there's about 3 stories in there of missing persons cases along with letters that people write in about their encounters and things that they've experienced, and he talks about suicide and some other stuff with that too. So he has he's adding more to his channel, and it's really good. So stick with him. I love his work, and I think it's really important that everybody hear it. So I will be talking to you guys soon. I love you guys all. God bless you all. Keep everybody in my prayers. Just, let me know if you need prayer. Pray for me for this allergy issue I've got going on, for my family. There's always issues with kids and stuff going on, things like that. So I have a pretty big family. But I will be back soon. And you guys take care, and you all say your prayers, and, stay safe out there, guys. Talk to you soon.